Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to supervisors and examiners. Firstly, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and it's my pleasure to introduce myself. My name is Riandy Oyadiwa from the University of Gajah Mada's 7th batch of International MBA program in Jakarta campus. Today, I will be presenting my thesis called The Effect of Emotional Intelligence on Innovative Work Behavior of Employees Mediated with Tacit Knowledge Sharing in the Education Department of Aceh. This presentation will consist of 5 parts, which begins from the introduction, literature review, research methodology, the discussion of the results, and the conclusion. First, I would like to mention the background of this research. The education in Indonesia is one of the largest in the world, with over 30 million students all across the country. Uh, the revolution of education, which has been happening all around the world, meant that those in charge of education needs to adapt to those changes. In Aceh, this is headed by the Department of Education, which is responsible for the way the education is done in Aceh, based on the Regulation 23 of 2014 concerning regional government, which stipulates the authority for managing SMA, SMK, and special schools lies with the provincial government. One of the initiatives that has been done is Aceh Carong, or Smart Aceh program, which focuses on increasing its Human Development Index, which has shown tremendous improvement. In order to improve the innovation that is being done in Aceh, it is very important to have innovative work behavior in its staff. It is a key factor of improvement in every industry, including the education industry. One of the factors influencing innovative work behavior is emotional intelligence. There has been extensive research done between the relationship of these two factors, including Rudinser in 2011, Sojay and Suki in 2014, Dinser and Orban in 2012, Al Omari in 2017, and Hu and He in 2018. Further, there has been some effort to see the effect of tacit knowledge sharing to explain the relationship of emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior separately by Malik and Baskora both in 2021. However, these studies are few, so there is a gap in which this research has not been done yet, especially in the education department, which are more tightly controlled by the government. Therefore, my research questions would be: what is the effect of emotional intelligence on innovative work behavior in the education department of Aceh? And the second is: does tacit knowledge sharing mediate the relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior in the education department of Aceh? The aim of this research is to first investigate whether emotional intelligence will aid in promoting innovative work behavior, and second, to investigate whether tacit knowledge sharing act as a mediating role between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior in the education department of Aceh. I hope that this research will help the education department of Aceh to add the understanding of the theories of emotional intelligence, tacit knowledge sharing, and innovative work behavior, and how they interact with each other in the context of educational institutions. Another is to benefit employees of the Education Department of Aceh by increasing their quality of work through innovative work behavior. And finally, for the Education Department to be able to create a process to enable better tacit knowledge sharing culture in order to improve the innovative work behavior of its employees so that they can create a higher quality educational service. And so this next part is for the theoretical framework. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the innovative work behavior, which can be defined as all individual actions directed at the generation, introduction, and application of beneficial novelty at any organizational level. This innovative work behavior presents some dimensions, which are idea realization, which are the producing of new ideas, idea generation, which is the engaging in social activities and discussion to develop the idea, and finally, the idea promotion, the implementation of the ideas to the work, the, group, or organization role. The second one is the emotional intelligence, which is defined by the ability to monitor one's own and others' emotions, to discriminate between them, and to use the information to guide one's thinking and actions. The dimensions of emotional intelligence include the capacity to express emotions naturally, the ability to comprehend others' emotions, the ability to control one's emotions and recover from distress, and finally, the directing ability to direct emotions to produce to productive actions. The third variable is the tacit knowledge setting. Tacit knowledge is defined as knowledge that cannot be explicated because it is highly personal, context specific, and difficult to formalize and communicate or transfer from one person to another through writing or verbal communications. There are several dimensions of tacit knowledge sharing. The first is the employee experience, the know who and the know where, and finally the employee professionalism. And so from this we can formulate two hypotheses. The first of which is that emotional intelligence has a significant effect on innovative work behavior. And second is the relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior, which is mediated by tacit knowledge sharing. Based on those two hypotheses, this is the research model that I've created. The first is between emotional intelligence, which is the independent variable, and to the innovative work behavior, the dependent variable. And the second hypothesis is the tacit knowledge sharing mediate the relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior. The next, I will explain the research methodology. Firstly, that I'm in this research, I will use the quantitative approach using questionnaire-based survey. The data will then be analyzed with SPSS program using the process 3.5 Andrew Hayes that has been tested for its instrument before the validity test and also reliability test. And finally, the samples that is obtained comprise of 15% of the total population of the Education Department in Aceh, which is 100, which equals to 100 samples. Next, I'm going to explain the research flow of the research method. The first is to make a questionnaire based on a 5 points Likert scale for all three variables. Next is to test for the validity and reliability test. The validity test based on Pearson correlation method and reliability using Cronbach alpha. Next is for the testing of assumptions based on Shapiro-Wilk test. And finally, descriptive analysis, the statistic analysis of the data according to the characteristic of the participants. And finally, we estimate the adjusted beta coefficients for emotional intelligence using multiple linear regressions, controlling for tacit knowledge sharing. Finally, we estimated the mediating effect of tacit knowledge sharing using mediation analysis in the process macro for SPSS program created by Hayes. We also calculated the total direct and indirect effect of the variables in addition to the percentage of the total mediated effect using a 95% confidence interval. And so this is the validity, reliability, and normality test results. As we can see, the validity test results shows that all the questions for the questionnaires are valid, and the reliability shows that the questionnaire has a significant correlation between one question and another, and the answers given by the respondents are consistent from one question to another, which means that it shows reliability. And finally, we found that all variables have over 0.05p, which shows that all the variables have normal distributions. Next, I am going to show the results of the analysis. Firstly, the characteristic of the participants. The characteristic of the participants can be seen here based on the sample of 100 people. Based on the analysis of the three variables, the emotional intelligence as independent variable has a mean score of 4.24, with a standard deviation of 0.32, while tacit knowledge sharing as mediation variable has a mean score of 4.18 and a standard deviation of zero point 0.2. And finally, the dependent variable of innovative work behavior has a mean value of 4.1 with a standard deviation of zero point 0.4. We've also found that significant correlation between emotional intelligence, tacit knowledge sharing, and innovative work behavior. This is the result of the first hypothesis, which is the effect of emotional intelligence on towards innovation work behavior. As we can see that the result of the beta is 0.552, while in adjusted model using multiple linear regression, which means that there is a significant and positive effect of emotional intelligence on innovative work behavior. After adjusted by the tacit knowledge sharing, uh, it means that the score of emotional intelligence associated with higher score of innovative work behavior after adjustment with tacit knowledge sharing, which also shows that R square of 0.527, which can be interpreted as 52.7% variation of innovative work behavior. Second, this is the result of the analysis of the second hypothesis, which is the effect of emotional intelligence on innovative work behavior mediated by tacit knowledge sharing. We found that the total effect of 0.552 and total indirect effect of 0.138. This means that the mediation effect is significant and positive based on the indirect effect result. We also found that only 25% of emotional intelligence effect is mediated through tacit knowledge sharing. Next, I will discuss the results of the research. Firstly, it can be seen that both hypotheses is true, that AI significantly affects innovative work behavior, and that tacit knowledge sharing acts as a mediation for emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior. Emotionally intelligent individual channel their emotional energy and achieve work innovation by producing new ideas or new methods of doing things. They push such ideas in the companies or in their organizations and adopt them to create innovative work behavior. Our findings also support previous researches done on this subject, which has also found that emotional intelligence is positively associated with innovative work behavior. This also shows that the three variables of emotional intelligence, innovative work behavior, and tacit knowledge sharing have a positive relationship with each other. This is in accordance with the research done by Wang and Law. Uh, this uh, this slide shows the previous researches and connections and the results. First, research by Malik and Baskoro shows that the relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior is partially mediated by tacit knowledge sharing. This research implies that when people use emotional intelligence and display innovative behavior at work, tends to involve sharing their valuable tacit knowledge with people at work. A study by Malik states that emotional intelligent people tend to have high level of self-motivation, allowing them to engage on beneficial tasks such as tacit knowledge sharing, which are then promoted to create creative ideas and innovative work behavior. The findings of a positive and significant relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior mediated by tacit knowledge sharing in this study indicate that the increase in personal competence and social competence has a strong and significant effect in increasing innovative work behavior, either mediated by tacit knowledge sharing or not. I'm now going to explain the conclusion of the research that has been done. First is that we have shown that emotional intelligence has a significant effect on innovative work behavior, and tacit knowledge sharing mediates emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior. This has an implication that tacit knowledge sharing can contribute to increasing emotional intelligence and develop employee performance innovations. This phenomenon reveals that the theory presented by previous researchers is true and tested. This study has also provided a great insight at the Education Department of Aceh. However, limitations are present. This can be seen from the sample that is taken from and provided that provides overview of the staff in the Education Department of Aceh. If samples were taken from other sectors, they might not produce the same outcome. And finally, the recommendations for further research is that the scope of the current research can be expanded by examining the role of moderating variables on the relationship between emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior. This will help understanding what factors can strengthen or weaken this relationship. It may not be the case that tacit knowledge sharing is the sole mediating factor of emotional intelligence and innovative work behavior. Thank you for listening to this presentation.